Hideki Tojo was brought into the world in the Kōjimachi locale of Tokyo on December 30, 1884, as the third child of Hidenori Tojo, a lieutenant general in the Royal Japanese Army under the bakufu. Japanese society was isolated unbendingly into four positions: the traders, craftsmen, laborers, and the samurai. After the Meiji Rebuilding, the standing framework was cancelled in 1871. However, the previous position differentiations in numerous ways persevered a short time later, guaranteeing that those from the previous samurai rank kept on partaking in their conventional notoriety. The Tojo family came from the samurai standing. However, the Tojos were generally humble hero retainers for the extraordinary daimyōs, rulers, that they had served for generations. Tojo's dad was a samurai turned armed force official, and his mom was the girl of a Buddhist minister, making his family truly decent, yet poor. Hideki had schooling regular of Japanese youth in the Meiji period. The reason for the Meiji schooling system was to prepare the young men to be officers as grown-ups, and the message was tenaciously penetrated into Japanese understudies that war was the most lovely thing in the whole world, that the sovereign was a living god, and that the best distinction for a Japanese man was beyond words the head. Japanese young ladies were instructed that the most noteworthy distinction for a lady was to have however many children as would be prudent, who could pass on for the sovereign in war. As a kid, Tojo was known for his hard-headedness, absence of a comical inclination, for being a stubborn and confrontational youth partial to getting into battles with the other young men, and for his industrious approach to chasing after what he needed.
Japanese schools in the Meiji time were extremely aggressive, and there was no practice of compassion toward disappointment. The people who did so were in many cases harassed by the educators. The individuals who knew him during his early stages considered him to be of just normal insight. Be that as it may, he was known to make up for his noticed absence of keenness with a readiness to work very hard. Tojo's childhood legend was the 17th century shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu, who gave the directive, "Stay away from the things you like. Direct your concentration toward unsavory duties." Tojo jumped at the chance to say, "I'm simply a common man having no sparkling gifts. Anything I have accomplished I owe to my ability for difficult work and never surrendering." In 1899, Tojo signed up for the military recruit school. In 1905, Tojo partook in the general shock in Japan at the settlement of Portsmouth, which finished the conflict with Russia, and which the Japanese public saw as a treachery, as the conflict didn't end with Japan attaching Siberia as prominent sentiment had requested. The arrangement of Portsmouth was disliked to the point that it set off enemy of American uproars referred to as the Hibiya combustible episode, as numerous Japanese were maddened at the manner in which the Americans had evidently bamboozled Japan, as the Japanese additions in the deal were definitely not as much as what popular assessment had anticipated. Not very many Japanese at the time had perceived that the conflict with Russia had pushed their country to the edge of liquidation, and the vast majority in Japan accepted that the American President Theodore Roosevelt, who had intervened the settlement of Portsmouth, had deceived Japan out of its legitimate gains. Tojo's resentment at the arrangement of Portsmouth left him with a standing abhorrence of Americans. In 1909, he wedded Katsuko Ito, with whom he had 3 children, Hidetake, Taro, and Toshio, and 4 girls, Mitsu, Meiki, Sachi, and Kimi. On June 1, 1940, Sovereign Hirohito delegated Kichikido, a main-change civil servant, as the ruler guardian of the Privy Seal, making him into the head's driving political counselor and fixer. Kido had helped with the creation during the 1930s of a partnership between the change administrators and the military's control group based on Tojo and General Mutakira. Kido's arrangement likewise preferred the assent of his partners in the control group. On July 30, 1940, Hideki Tojo was named Armed Force Serve in the 2nd Fumimaro Kano system and stayed there in the 3rd Kano Bureau. Ruler Kano had picked Tojo minus a man illustrative of both the military's hardline perspectives and the control group, while being thought of as sensible to manage minus to get the military supporting for his international strategy. Tojo was an aggressor super patriot, very much regarded for his hard-working attitude and his capacity to deal with desk work, who accepted that the sovereign was a living god and leaned toward direct royal rule, guaranteeing that he would loyally follow any request from the Emperor. Kano inclined toward having Germany intercede a finish to the Sino-Japanese conflict, constraining England to end its financial and military help of China even at the gamble of war, looking for better relations with both Germany and the US, and exploiting the progressions in the global request brought about by Germany's triumphs in the spring of 1940 to make Japan a more grounded power in Asia. Kano needed to make Japan the prevailing power in East Asia. However, he likewise accepted it was feasible to arrange a modus vivendi with the US under which the Americans would consent to perceive the more noteworthy East Asia Company's success circle. Thanks for watching this video.